Your ability to be yourself and be authentic in your business is directly going to affect how much you attract dreamy clients and actually have a business that you freaking love. So this is why I freaking love human design and why I feel like it's so important when it comes to messaging, because there are just so many opinions on how to do messaging right, how to talk about what you do. We can look at it from like the hero's journey and the brand story, right? We can look at it from being a visionary and talking about like the things that you completely disagree with, right? Setting yourself apart that way. There are so many different ways to create messaging, especially as a service-based entrepreneur, that we have to understand who we are and how our energy works. This is why, like for my design, talking about emotions and even storytelling is not the easiest thing for me. It doesn't come naturally. I don't particularly enjoy it. But talking about what I'm passionate about, explaining and talking about my experience from a general perspective is 100% my design and how I want to talk and communicate. And human design was really what showed me and honestly gave me the permission slip to say, yes, this is how I want to communicate. I don't have to, you never have to justify what you're doing to anyone, but it gave me that permission slip that there was no justification, right? This is just how I want to communicate, how it comes naturally for me. And the more that I can communicate naturally the way I want to communicate, the more authentic I can show up, the more me I can show up, the more I don't care about what other people think, because this is me, take it or leave it. And this is why blending it into your copy and into your messaging is so, so important. As a service-based entrepreneur, you're not only selling your service, but you're selling yourself. It is in some ways a personal brand, right? Your business, you're selling yourself. When I was a photographer, I really struggled to separate my art from who I was. If someone didn't like the session or didn't hire me, I took it as a personal dagger to the heart. And it meant that what I did, what my art wasn't worth it, right? Wasn't worthy of their affection, of their hiring me, right? And it was in that experience that I understood that your work, while yes, it is an extension of you, if you're leading with that idea that you are unworthy if someone doesn't hire you, or that is not good, or that like you will not find happiness in your work. And I mean, we can talk about finding happiness outside of yourself all day long, but what I'm saying is that we have to separate the two. We have to understand that our energy is the first and foundational piece of this. Understanding who we are, how we want to communicate, what is authentic to us, and how we want to express is foundational to being able to separate yourself from validation, from seeking approval, from wanting people to like you, right? Because when you know you, when you love you, it's so much easier to show up and be authentic and not overthink it. And that's another piece of it, right? Is that you're like, oh, I want to talk about this, but blah, 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 blah. Or I feel confused. I don't know how to talk about this. If you're confused, if you are leading with that energy, that's what you're going to attract. So understand how you want to communicate. And that honestly opens the doors to everything else. But I also want to talk about how we can start to break down some of these aspects of the human design chart to give you a little bit more of a roadmap and not just let you loose on human design, because there is a lot of information out there. It is a lot of trial and error. And at the end of the day, I'm a Manny-Gen. I'm going to skip some steps and get to the end a hell of a lot quicker. So I want to give you a few ideas to start playing with and start understanding what these energies are inside of you so that you can show up more authentically. Now, there's a lot of nuances to this. There's your worker gate, your throat activations, your definition. All of these different things play a role in your ability to show up authentically. And actually, inside the VIP membership of the Magnetic Messaging Club, we're talking about the unconscious sun right now and how the shadow of that is actually very much connected to you doing your work and doing your purpose work and being excited about it and not overthinking it, right? So we've been diving into the nuances of the participants' unconscious sun gate and what does that mean for them and how can we apply it to their life and their work, right? So there's lots of nuances to human design. And I don't want you getting stuck in the nuances. I don't want you thinking that if you don't know all these different parts and pieces that you can't show up authentically. That's not the truth at all. Like if you ever hear anything about human design that feels disempowering and makes you feel small, like throw that shit out the window, first and foremost. Human design is meant to be a science of differentiation and allowing you to experiment and to figure out what you are, who you are, right? What is true for you? So always, always come back to that. But let's find some ways to like skip some steps and start to feel into what your energy is. And I mean, honestly, the easiest place to start is your type because number one, there's only 5. And number 2, like it's a big energy. It's a big piece of who you are and how you operate, right? So if we can understand how your aura type is working and what energies are coming, right? And wanting to come to the surface, then we can start there. And then once we're comfortable with that, and dive in deeper. So today we're going to talk about those 5 types and calling them archetypes because they're an overarching theme, right? An overarching theme to what you're doing. And it's also what I talk a lot about with your unique selling point and creating a unique selling point that's based off of your aura type really helps organize your messaging so that people understand what you do, how you do it. And then they can decide if it's right for them, right? Like that's what we're doing when we're showing up online and being ourselves is we're just showing up and talking about what we do, how we do it. And if you like what you hear, then cool. Like here's a avenue to come into my world, right? There's different offers that you can decide what would work best for you. That's it, right? It just takes so much pressure off of yourself when you know that you're just showing up talking about what you do. There's like no persuading that needs to happen. The people that are meant for you will find you. You will be that beacon. You will be that lighthouse. And they're able to find you because you are just showing up, being yourself, sharing your gifts, right? So, okay, let's get into the archetypes. So, number 1, the manifester, the archetype of the trailblazer. Now, as a mini gen, I kind of relate to this one a little bit. I want to be that trailblazer too, but the manifester really is the definition of a trailblazer. They're the ones out front hacking away the jungle in order to pave a path for people behind them. So really understanding that you are unique. If you are trying to do a strategy or create messaging the way someone else says to do it, well, you can learn from that. It's not ultimately what's going to make you happy or set you apart. It's actually going to make you feel like you're boxing yourself in and you're creating a business that doesn't feel right, right? So while it may work, it's at some point you're going to be like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? So that archetypal energy of the trailblazer is bold. It's decisive. It's really calling people to action, saying, come with me on this trail that we're going, right? And the thing I want you to remember too about being that visionary is that you don't have to be at the end result in order to lead people. Like you just have to be a few steps ahead of them on your way there. in order to help them. So that's something that I think sometimes manifestors get a little hung up on, is that they're not at this big vision that they know is possible. Like, it's been something inside of them for a really long time. And they know that it's possible. Maybe they're not quite there yet. And that's okay. You can still lead people there, even though you're not there. Makes sense. You just have to be a few steps ahead. Okay, so the generator, the nurturer, that's that enveloping aura, right? They feel like they're the business bestie that's always there to cheer you up and inspire you and keep you going when you feel depleted, right? And they're the ones that just always have that optimistic outlook on life. Almost always, I should say. If you're in your higher expression, you do. They're using warm and inviting language, right? They're conversational. They feel like your best friend. It's that nurturing aspect, right? How can you be that nurturer, the person that inspires others, that makes them feel like everything's okay and they can do it, right? That's that nurturer, motherly, I guess you could say motherly aspect. Archetype, right? As the generator. For the projector, you're the guide. Now, I hesitated saying the guide, but that's what it is. Projectors are naturally gifted at guiding, advising, right? So the more that you can be confident in that role, this isn't going out and waiting for validation that you are a guide. No, you embody guide. You are the wisdom. You know that you have wisdom to share, and you're not waiting for anyone to say, hey, I want to know what you think, right? Your platforms, your social media platforms are meant for you to be visible, talking about what you love, sharing your gifts, and really just being the guide saying, hey, I have a solution to your problem. Do you want help? Right? That's the guide. They emulate confidence because they know they have the wisdom to help you, right? There's no question that they can solve the problem. So that's the energy I want the projector in when they are going out on social media and sharing, right? Sometimes it's not, in the beginning, it can be a challenge to feel like the guide because you're like, I'm still figuring this out. I still don't know what I've mastered. I still don't know what my system is. But you can always tap into that guide energy, that wisdom. Like, I know I can solve a small problem, right? I'm going to go out and help people with that. And then as you grow, you can solve more problems. You can solve a bigger problem. Your confidence grows with you. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and the reflector, they're the reflector of all possibilities, right? They highly attuned to environments, highly attuned to people and what they need. And so they can really reflect potential and transformation in people, really showing up as like, hey, I can show you what's missing or what you need, or that kind of energy, right? They're reflecting the potential of someone and offering perspectives, offering their insights into what they're seeing and feeling throughout their energy, right? The manifesting generator is the multi-passionate visionary. So this is similar, right? It has that trailblazer aspects to it, but they're the visionary. They're the ones saying, why is no one putting these things together? Why has no one thought to do this and this together to create something new? They are taking all these different passions together, and I should say, it's not all your passion, but it's taking different passions that you have, putting them together in a unique way that solves a problem for people, that really shows people we can do things differently. We don't have to do it the way that we've always done it. We can skip steps. I wanted to say cut corners, but I think the connotation with cutting corners is that you're not doing a good job. And that's not true. So we're not cutting corners to do things bad. We're cutting out the fluff. We're cutting out the things that don't need to be there in order to get the result that we want, right? So how can you embody more of that multi-passionate visionary? I see a way to do things in a really unique way and bringing these things together, embodying that archetype. Okay, so I hope this is helpful in helping you start to understand what your human design is trying to communicate with you, right? Ultimately, in order to attract your dreamy clients, in order to uh, make the money you want, sell the offers that you have, it's really, really important that you understand who you are and how you can show up as authentically as possible. Is it possible to build a business that's not authentic to you? Absolutely, it's possible. But ultimately, at some point, you're going to hit a wall that makes you go, what did I just build? I'm not happy. This is not what I intended to build. This is not who I am, right? And if you've gotten to that point and you're saying those things, then it's okay too, right? You have this opportunity to go back. Okay, what is authentic to me? What have I learned in this experience that I can carry forward and create the business that I actually really love? Like that is my whole deep intention, is that I am creating a business that I love, that I do not want to burn down in 6 months, year, 5 years, 10 years. It is something that will grow with me, that will expand with me. And I will at some point feel like I have completed this cycle of my life, right? As a mini gen, like I do believe that I'm not going to do the same thing all my life. It's already proven to me multiple times. But there is a cycle that I go through, and um, I'm able to kind of complete the cycle. I'm able to give what I needed to give. I'm able to receive what I needed to receive and learn what I needed to learn in that cycle of whatever that career was. If that makes sense. So that's what I have for today. On that note, the Magnetic Messaging Club doors are reopened, only to the email list. So if you are not on my email list, I'm going to drop a link below so you can get on the email list and get those emails. And I am really excited that I want to do this launch in a way that feels really, really good for me. Launching is always, it's an emotional experience. I think anyone that says it's not, it's crazy. Like it is an emotional experience. And I want this launch, and I want people in the club that truly want to master messaging, that want to understand how to communicate in an alignment for them in a way that feels really good for them, so that they can go out and they know how to talk about whatever offer they want to offer, right? This isn't just creating one-time messaging. This is creating messaging that is going to grow with you, allow you to expand, and constantly be able to reiterate and shift things when you feel the need to, right? My messaging has not stayed consistent. Oh, I should say the offers haven't stayed consistent. Messaging for the most part has, but it I don't box myself into always talking about it in the same way. I allow myself to talk about things in different ways because otherwise I would get bored. And I want to give you the same gift of being able to talk about what you do in a plethora of ways that make sense for you, that allows you to grow and allows you to call in the people, attract the people that are meant to work with you, and have a business that pays you really well. So that's the whole objective of the club. And I would love to have you. I am giving away 5 free one-on-one sessions if you jump into the club now, to really go over and make sure that wherever you are, to understand what the gaps are in your messaging, to understand what you should be focusing on the messaging, because within the club, there's everything from human design all the way down to your writing your website and sales pages and emails. There's a lot in between there. And where do you start can be kind of overwhelming. So this this session is meant to kind of help you figure out where the gaps are, where you need to start, how can you make the most of this membership and really get out everything that you want from it. So that's happening. Um, and I think that's it. So if you have questions or want to know more information, like drop a comment as well. And if this episode was helpful to you in any way, shape, or form, please share it with your own group of people and business besties. And I greatly appreciate it. It helps me get my message out and help more people. So that's it. Have a wonderful week.